An action RPG inspired by Studio Ghibli's films and The Legend of Zelda? Take my money, just take my money. But sadly, Baldo, now known as Baldo the Guardian Owl, your release date of summer 2020 has been and gone, with no game to be found anywhere. That fact leads me to that all-important question: where is Baldo? Where the hell is Baldo? Hello everyone, I'm Roy McCoy, and the focus of this video is on Baldo. I assume it's pronounced Baldo and not Baldo, which sounds like an offensive term for someone with hair loss. Now, Baldo is a game which so far has had a more than 15-year development cycle. 15 years! Let that sink in for a moment. And all that has led me to ask those all-important questions. What is Baldo? What has been happening with its development? And finally, possibly the most important question, when could we actually play this game? Before we get started, don't forget to like this video as it really helps me out. But now, let's talk about everything we know about Baldo. Due to be released on the PS4, Xbox One, PC and Switch, this exciting looking ARPG with its hand-drawn open world was originally planned to drop in summer 2020, with the Switch being a timed exclusive release. Now, all that obviously didn't happen. The game is being published and developed by Naps Team, an Italian studio based in Sicily. And don't worry if you haven't heard of Naps Team. If you head to their website, they have made a bunch of games, most of which, looking at the covers, you think, I recognise that? I can't remember. Did I buy that? It might be on a shelf somewhere. I don't know, maybe. And then the occasional one that makes you say, oh, they were involved in that. In other words, sadly, nothing massively famous until now. However, if any game was going to put them on the map, I'd say Baldo has a very good chance. And if you do have a favourite Naps Team game, let me know. Baldo is set in the fictional world of Rhodia, and the story apparently focuses around a prophecy. That prophecy talks about a creature with no heart that was locked underground by a bunch of owls, and that creature will wake up when a pure child is born. Which, as a premise, makes me understand why it's been compared to things like Zelda. Now, of course, in this game, the prophecy has begun to come true, and it's up to you to save the land. Which sounds a bit like a classic JRPG story. You know, the unknown hero thrown into a wild situation, confronting the big bad and saving the day. A tried and tested formula that I personally love. And it makes me incredibly excited to see what this has to offer. Lead artist Fabio Capone said that the game will have lots of combat, but that the true focus is on dungeons and puzzles, with lots of secrets to find, and that it will share many elements with Zelda. But not only has it been compared with games like Zelda, but the art style has been compared with films made by Studio Ghibli, the people who brought us things like Howl's Moving Castle and the superb Spirited Away, which kind of makes it sound like Ni no Kuni, a game that I never know if I'm pronouncing right. It always sounds like I'm trying to say Ni no Kuni or even Mila Kunis when I say it. But anyway, Ni no Kuni works as a pretty good reference point, and it might look and feel a bit like that. And looking at it, it looks glorious. Hand-drawn backgrounds with animations over it, which I admit can look a bit jarring in some games, but judging by this footage, here they seem to have found the right balance. The last thing to say about what it is that it appears to have a fantasy setting, and that the players will visit things like old ruins and towns set in the countryside. So, what's been happening with it? Well, I said at the start of the video that this game originally started development 15 years ago, still can't get over that, and was planned to be released on the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance, I mean, that's how old this is. Obviously, that didn't happen. And since then, Naps Team have skipped the DS, the 3DS, the Wii, the Wii U, and finally decided, apparently, that the Switch and Friends were the best places for them to launch. No mention of PS5 or current gen, but it's taken 15 years to get this far, so hopefully we will actually get it on the PlayStation 4 and not the PlayStation 8. Sarcasm over. Interestingly though, according to the developer, it seems as though the project hasn't been in a constant state of development, or even in a state of development hell. According to studio artist Fabio Capone, the game was shelved when the Game Boy Advance ended, and was more recently resurrected when new technology became available that allowed them to improve the graphical look of the anime style, which actually explains why we haven't heard a hell of a lot about it in 15 years. But not only has the look of the game been enhanced by new technology, it's also gone through some name changes. Recently adding the words The Guardian Owl to the title, it was for a very long time just known as Baldo, but 15 years ago it had a very different name. It was going to be called, wait for it, The Dark Knight. No prizes for guessing why that was scrapped. So now, as Baldo, formerly known as The Dark Knight, rises back into public attention, sorry, I couldn't resist, when could we actually see it? Well, this time I'm feeling pretty positive. My feeling is soon. Now that is a hopeful feeling. But let's look at the facts. The game was initially planned to drop in summer 2020, but when that didn't happen, they changed their status to TBD, to be declared or to be decided, which normally, I grant you, is a very worrying sign. But it just sounds like in this case that the developer doesn't want to fix a date until they're sure it's ready to ship, something I can get behind. But other than the occasional tweet from the developer merely drip feeding information like Baldo is still coming or we're still working on Baldo, I must admit it had been pretty quiet until recently. That was until IGN released some gameplay footage in May this year, and that gameplay footage is a very promising sign that the game is nearly finished, or certainly part of it is. Now, the fact that the game was delayed from summer 2020 hasn't really been addressed, but it's possible that the pandemic knocked the game back, possibly by a year or so. The studio is based in Italy, in Sicily, a country which went through some long lockdowns, so it is possible that that played its part. And all that leads me to make my guess that we could see this game coming in late summer 2021, possibly August or September, or even slightly after summer in October. Further to that, with the remake of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD coming to the Switch in July 2021, it's possible they may want to capitalise on the success of that, and August-September 2021 sounds like a good time to strike. Now, whether the game will still be a Switch-timed exclusive, coming to the latest gen, or just releasing all at the same time is yet to be confirmed. But I am hopeful that we could see it this year. Of course, the fact that the game has taken 15 years so far means I could be way off, but I hope not, because it looks amazing, and I really want to play it. Let me know in the comments below when you think this game is going to drop, and what other games you're excited for. Maybe they've been confirmed, or just disappeared. But all it leaves me to say today is thank you very much for watching, and this is Roy McCoy, out!